Hi, welcome back to uncoverfraud.com. My name is David Malamed, and I am a forensic accountant and fraud investigation expert with over 20 years of experience. One of the questions I get asked quite a bit by other accountants is, can I be a forensic accountant? And what I want to talk to you about today is independence and objectivity, as well as experience. So being a forensic accountant is not something that all accountants should dabble in. At first, it may seem that the discipline is straightforward and that an accounting background is required to practice. However, taking on an engagement as an expert creates risk for you, your client, and your firm. Just imagine getting up on the stand in court and being grilled about what makes you an expert in forensic accounting, what makes you an expert in a specific industry, and what support you have that demonstrates your independence and lack of advocacy for your client. When it comes down to it, forensic accountants must be able to demonstrate objectivity, integrity, and independence. The following are some best practices for maintaining the rules of objectivity, integrity, and independence in the performance of forensic accounting services. Number 1, integrity requires an accountant to be, among other things, honest and candid within the constraints of client confidentiality. Service and the public trust should not be subordinated to personal gain and advantage. Integrity can accommodate the unintentional error and the dishonest difference of opinion. It cannot accommodate deceit or subordination of principle. 2, objectivity is a state of mind, a quality that lends value to an accountant's services. It is a distinguishing feature of the profession. The principle of objectivity imposes the obligation to be impartial, intellectually honest, and free of conflict of interest. Independence precludes relationships that may appear to impair a member's objectivity in rendering attestation services. 3, independence has two definitions. A, independence of mind, the state of mind that permits the performance of an attest or non-attest service without being affected by influences that compromise professional judgment, thereby allowing an individual to act with integrity and exercise objectivity and professional skepticism. And B, independence in appearance, the avoidance of circumstances that would cause a reasonable and informed third party having knowledge of all relevant information, including the safeguards applied, to reasonably conclude that the integrity, objectivity, or professional skepticism of a firm or a member of an attest or non-attest engagement team had been compromised. In practice, these three principles are often interrelated. Maintaining objectivity implies the integrity to determine whether or not you are independent or whether a conflict of interest might exist. The criteria for evaluating whether a conflict of interest is involved in performing a forensic accounting service engagement is the ability of the accountant to maintain integrity and objectivity. A conflict of interest is based in fact, but can also be challenged on appearance. However, all forensic accountants should be mindful of and deal with either before accepting and during the performance of an engagement. A conflict of interest can impair a forensic accountant's ability to objectively evaluate and present an issue for a client because of a current, prior, or possible future relationship with other parties, including those who may be involved in the engagement. Independence and integrity and objectivity in performing forensic services. So before accepting a forensic accounting engagement, one should carefully evaluate their relationships, if any, with all parties to the action to identify potential, actual, and perceived conflicts of interests. These parties include named and potential adverse parties and counsel for the parties on the opposing side. Some examples of conflicts of interest and some best practices on how to avoid them include, well, number 1, personal relationships. If a principal of the forensic accounting firm or any of the members of the team performing forensic accounting services has a personal relationship with an entity, its affiliate, or any of the principals, a real or perceived conflict might exist. Number 2, financial or prior professional relationship. If the forensic accountant or the accountant's firm performs other attest or non-attest services for the entity, it might create either a real or perceived conflict. Number 3, purchase of the assets of an insolvent company or receivership entity. Part of any bankruptcy or receivership can involve the liquidation or sale of assets. Forensic accountants working for trustees or receivers should ensure that no member of the accounting firm purchases any of these assets. Failure to do so may result in allegations of self-dealing, especially when these assets are purchased at substantially below perceived market value. Number 4, getting work. It is clear that a forensic accountant should not accept any engagement in which the appointment was obtained through any compensation directed back to the appointer. Beyond direct compensation, one should also be concerned about the appearance of certain gifts or other non-financial benefits, such as awards or benefits to related third parties. Number 5, incentives. And incentives can pose a risk to a forensic accountant's objectivity on an engagement. A forensic accountant should never take on an engagement where the compensation to the accountant is based on certain results obtained. Taking a case on contingency can create a real or perceived issue with the forensic accountant's objectivity and should be avoided. It doesn't mean that you can't take on a contingency engagement. It just most likely means that you can't be the testifying expert because you've lost your independence. During the course of a litigation services engagement, there is always the potential for a non-opposing party to become an opposing party. Therefore, continuing sensitivity to newly arising conflicts is necessary, particularly in engagements that are active for long periods of time or involve numerous parties. The nature and complexity of forensic accounting engagements make it imperative that potential conflicts be identified early, preferably before the accountant accepts the engagement. The forensic accountant should discuss situations that give rise to any questions of conflicts with their firm, as well as counsel for fiduciaries to evaluate relevant issues before forensic accounting services are provided. Look, when in doubt, you need to drill down a bit deeper to determine that you are independent and objective. If you're not, your report and your testimony is not going to be accepted by court, and you are going to put yourself and your firm and potentially your client at risk. Again, my name is David Malamed, and I am a forensic accountant and fraud investigation expert. To find out more about me and the services we offer, please visit uncoverfraud.com. If you enjoyed today's video, which I hope you did, please don't forget to subscribe, leave me some likes below, and also some comments. I always try to respond to all the comments that you give, and I appreciate them. I look forward to seeing you again. Until next time, God bless.